Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So I am not recording my voice as I am recording this gameplay because I have currently lost my voice. And my voice is currently still recovering, so I have to do it this way. Anyway, this is not my Ophelia, this belongs to Super Armand, also the owner of the amazing Jiang Jiuli that we showcased just a few days ago. Now this would be a very powerful Ophelia that we're about to showcase today. So without further ado, let's start with her skills. Now her first attack is Elegant Strike, attacks one enemy, deals 110% of attack damage and inflicts bleeding for 2 turns. Now here's what bleeding does. At the start of the carrier's turn, takes 50% of the caster's attack as true damage. So if Ophelia has 4000 attack, the enemy would take 2000 damage. It's not much, but it kinda helps. Anyway, moving on to her second skill, this is Heartless Reaper. So attacks one enemy, deals 150% attack damage, and each buff on Thanatos and each debuff on the enemy increases damage dealt by 10% up to 100%. This attack also heals Ophelia by 20% of the damage dealt, and you gain a turn upon killing the enemy. And moving on to her third skill, this is Butterfly Dreams, attacks one enemy, deals 250% attack damage. Then you cast Elegant Strike to perform pursuit attacks equal to a total number of one's own buffs and the enemy's debuffs, up to a total of 3 times, which is 4 attacks. Now additionally, if the enemy dies during the pursuit attacks, you will continue to attack another random enemy until you have exhausted all of your 3 additional attempts. Now the pursuit damage that you're gonna deal to the same target is gradually reduced by 20% with each hit. And most importantly, this ability and its subsequent pursuit attacks inflicts defense down for 2 turns on the first hit of each new target. And finally, she has a 30% crit rate lead in the point war. Now I'll discuss a little bit more about her skills and what I have discovered later on in the video. But for now, let's take a look at the relics that she is using for this showcase, which is going to be Thor and Fiery, which is a very typical DPS build. And you will see that this is extremely powerful on her. Now we're going to end off the introduction by looking at her Ascensions. So as you can see, she has attack, HP, attack percentage, speed up, and finally 25% crit damage. So for today's video, we are mainly going to showcase her in a few locations, the first being Fafnir, the second being Temporal Tower, although it's a low-level Temporal Tower, and finally, obviously, we're going to showcase her in PvP. So I want you to take a look at how she performs here. She basically takes out one Esper immediately, and she goes ahead to clean the wave entirely. And what you might have also realized is that she lands the defense break before even approaching the enemy, so her damage always goes beyond the defense break. So with this in mind, she is essentially a combination of Tang Yun and Drew in one body, in a sense that instead of Tang Yun continuing to pursue one target, you are pursuing multiple targets. And clearly she is extremely efficient because she brings her own defense break, so if you intend to follow that path, then you will need a little bit of accuracy. And over here, even without landing a defense break, we are still able to take out one entire HP bar of Fafnir, so this is a testament to her power. But this is obviously not the best place to showcase her talents because after all, her pursuits will get stopped as long as you break the HP threshold. So we're going to direct our attention to other content instead of Fafnir, so let's move on to the Temporal Tower. So here are some of the things that I have discovered when using her. So what happens is that when you use your third skill, your buffs actually reduce by 1. And I don't mean by 1 buff, I mean by 1 turn. And this is an extremely important detail because that means that if you have only 1 turn of buff left, your third skill is not going to perform as good as you wish it would, because upon using your third skill, your buffs are just going to reduce by 1 turn and your pursuit attacks will be like wet noodles basically. So this highlights a very important point when using her. So you're not going to start off using your second skill, because using a second skill is most likely going to reduce your buff count from 2 to 1. Let's say you're running a Dahlia, right? Which means that if you get a kill on your second skill and you gain a turn this way, you would only have 1 turn of buffs left, which means that when you use your third skill, the rest of your pursuits are not going to do anything. But this also confirms that the number of procs you're going to land, the number of pursuits that you're going to attack with, will be fixed as soon as you use your third skill. It is not acquired along the way. So after using your third skill, you would have technically no buffs, right? For example, you will still pursue equal to the number of times that you should have pursued based on the number of buffs that you had, or the number of debuffs that your first target had. But yeah, so the main takeaway that I'm trying to say is you either have 3 turns buff so that you can use your second skill into your third skill, or you have to start off with your third skill. If not, you're not going to have enough buffs for the rest of your normal attacks, or rather your pursuit attacks, which is technically your normal attacks. Now I want to draw a small comparison to, well, the free-to-play Espers, for example. So I'll make a couple of comparisons, and I'm sure a lot of you guys by now should know who I'm going to compare her against. And if you thought Tang Yun, yes, obviously, but the other Esper is going to be Drew. she is better. She's a lot better than Tang Yun, dude. A lot better. I'm not going to discount the fact that she is very strong, which I have already discussed before, and I've already done the math on her numbers, even prior to her release. So I do know what I'm talking about. So yes, she hits really hard, but do you know who else hits very hard as well and can cleave through multiple Espers? Drew! We have talked about Drew so many times. He is essentially the same in most cases, I would say. So here's the thing, you will need setups in order for Drew to work. You will need setups in order for Tang Yun to work. Ophelia does not need that much setup, she only needs an attack buff, because she even has her own defense break. And another reason why Ophelia is definitely stronger than Tang Yun and Drew combined is that her third skill, while it acts like Drew's third skill as well, it doesn't act exactly the same. And what I mean to say is, with her third skill, you can kill a Hyde and proceed on with the Hyde's other allies, but you're not going to be able to achieve the same effect using a Drew, because that's not how Drew works. Or rather, that's because Hyde technically dies at the end of your turn, so Drew would just waste all of his third skill procs onto the same Hyde. And she's also definitely stronger than Tang Yun, not because she can land defense breaks. I mean, Tang Yun has ignore defense as well, but she's stronger because her pursuit actually moves on to another target, whereas Tang Yun, his pursuit just ends over there. And in addition to that, there is absolutely no RNG involved with Ophelia's pursuit attacks. Whereas for Tang Yun, well, yeah, you can definitely attack like a billion times, but that also relies a lot on RNG. So it's kind of a toss-up in my opinion. And even comparing just single target damage, like if you have one enemy on its own, Ophelia is still going to deal a lot more damage than Tang Yun because she has a 580 something percentage multiplier on her third skill, whereas for Tang Yun, he has upwards of 430% by guaranteeing a pursuit after using his third skill. So with that out of the way, let's just agree that she is a lot stronger. And in fact, she is just absolutely strong. And we haven't even started talking about her second skill, which gives her an additional turn, which kind of like acts as a pursuit in its own right, and it even heals herself. But I want to draw your attention back to the banner itself. Okay, so if you're watching this right when I have uploaded this video, then the banner is still running, and you have quite a few more days. You have probably at least a week to go, you have at least a week to make up your mind, and if you'd like to summon for her, then honestly just go ahead. I am only sharing my opinion on the Esper and by no means telling you what to do or what not to do. But let me reiterate what I mean by a banner that is worth summoning on. So for example, back then in beta server, we had a Clara banner, hello, that was a broken Esper. And you know who else is broken? Ollie as well. Ollie is a broken Esper. And of course, we can start talking about other Espers who could potentially reach our roster that has some similar effect to, let's say, Lin Xiao, to let's say Jiang Jiuli. Well, probably not exactly the same, but I'm just saying that in the future, there could be a banner with actually game-changing Espers like that. Now, Ophelia is not game-changing because she does a lot of damage, okay? That's not what makes an Esper game-changing. What makes an Esper game-changing is the fact that with that Esper, suddenly content becomes easy, suddenly people are afraid of you, and suddenly things become a lot more different. Your gameplay becomes vastly different. And that is game-changing. Is Ophelia game-changing? Probably not. She has no way to self-sustain herself, she has no way to grant herself invincibility or standoff. She is strictly just a DPS, and if someone outspeeds you, maybe a Tang Yun takes the first turn and snipes you instantly, well then, that's basically it, isn't it? So for the last time, do not let anyone tell you what to do, do not let me tell you what to do. Do what you want to do because that makes you happy. I'm sharing my opinion because I know for a fact that I strongly believe that you should be conserving your limited resources on things that matter more, and I truly care about how you use your resources because that is my basic responsibility as a content creator to give you guys the best value. So hopefully you can appreciate the value in that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much to Super Almond for letting me use your Ophelia. She is definitely broken, okay? Definitely broken. And obviously I would wish to have her so that she will make my PvP so much easier. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been DADDYF2P, and as always I will see you in the next video.